Amara was only 7 years old when her father remarried. That was the day Mrs. Clarissa Benson walked into their lives like a morning breeze, soft, sweet, and holy-looking. Clarissa had this way of tying her scarf so neatly you'd think angels came down to arrange it. Her voice? Gentle. Her smile? Warm. If perfection had a second name, surely it would be Clarissa. She didn't come alone. She brought her daughter Juliana, who was 1 year older than Amara, and forever wore ribbons like she was auditioning for a doll commercial. At first, life was straight out of a fairy tale. Clarissa brushed Amara's hair every night, telling bedtime stories in a soothing voice that could put thunder to sleep. She'd kiss her forehead and whisper, "You're my sunshine. Your late mother must have goddess to give me a daughter this lovely." And the poor girl believed it. Hook, line, and sinker. Amara thought she was loved. She thought she was safe. She thought Clarissa was the second mother she paid for. Juliana and Amara? Besties. They shared dolls, braided each other's hair, and made necklaces out of garden flowers. Their giggles could be heard down the street. For a while, it was beautiful. But time is the biggest gossip in the world. By the time Amara turned 16, things had changed. The little girl had grown into something extraordinary. Her skin glowed like it was washed daily in moonlight. Her big brown eyes had the kind of charm that could trap you until you forgot your own name. Her hair, long, black and smooth like it had been polished with silk, even without cream. Her voice, sweet, musical, the kind that made you stop mid-step just to listen. The village noticed. Oh, they noticed. The women at the stream couldn't keep their mouths shut. They stared. They whispered. The boys at the market? They lost their vocabulary every time Amara passed. One would drop his tomatoes, another would trip over a goat, just because her shadow brushed their path. At festivals, men shouted shamelessly, "That's my wife! I'll pay 20 cows!" Some even said, "Even the president wouldn't resist this one." Suddenly, Juliana, once the superstar of every gathering, was now the invisible backup dancer in Amara's spotlight. And Clarissa? The same woman who once called Amara her sunshine? Her smiles turned into tight lips. Her once soft eyes now looked like 2 blocks of ice. One afternoon, Amara was helping an old farmer carry baskets in the market when he looked at Clarissa and said proudly, "Madam, you must be so proud. This girl is the flower of our land." Clarissa smiled politely, but her hands squeezed the basket handle so hard her knuckles turned white. A storm had started brewing inside her heart, but sweet, innocent Amara had no clue. She still swept the compound while singing, still made flower bracelets for Juliana, still kissed Clarissa's cheek every morning like a fool who believed love could never change. But beauty is a dangerous gift, and Amara's beauty had lit a fire in her stepmother's chest, envy, fear, and something uglier than both. Then came the day everything changed. That morning had barely stretched its arms when the royal trumpet sounded across the land. Horses galloped into the village, and the king's herald climbed a platform, his voice booming. By royal decree, His Royal Highness Prince Adrian Kingsley, son of King Robert of Elvernia, has returned from the United States of America. He seeks a bride from among our maidens. The village exploded like fireworks. At the stream, the girls screamed like they had won the lottery. Calabashes fell, water splashed, birds flew away. "The prince is coming! From America, ooh," they sang. "This is not the time to be ugly, my sisters." At the market, women abandoned their stalls to dance near the palace gates. He studied business, engineering, leadership. He owns companies in California, mansions in Miami, cars that cost more than this whole market. Forget Prince. He's now a billionaire king. The people rejoiced, they clapped, they danced, they sang. At least one of our daughters will enjoy. The one he picks will wear Gucci to fetch water. But in the Benson household, the atmosphere was as sour as burnt soup. Clarissa stood by the window watching maidens rehearse their fake smiles and graceful walks. Then she turned and saw Amara. The girl was peeling cassava. Simple, ordinary, yet the sunlight kissed her face like heaven's spotlight. A few strands of hair slipped from her scarf, dancing with the wind. Even in rags, she looked like a queen God had mistakenly dropped into the wrong family. Juliana was standing nearby, but honestly? Next to Amara, she could have been a lamppost. Clarissa's heart hardened. Her jaw tightened. No, not this girl. Never. My daughter will not lose to a motherless child. Not while I breathe. That night, Clarissa sat in her room. muttering like a witch. I clothed her, I fed her, and now she dares to shine brighter than my blood? She will not be queen. She will not even be seen. The next morning the rooster hadn't even crowed when Clarissa stormed into Amara's room. She ripped the bedsheet away and barked, "Pack your things. From now on you'll live in that rat hole by the kitchen." Amara blinked, confused. "But, Mama, what did I—" Slap! The sound echoed through the house. "Don't— You think you'll seduce the prince with those cursed eyes? Over my dead body. As long as I live, he will never see you." And so the nightmare began. Amara's mirror, snatched away. Her clothes, burned. Her food, reduced to scraps. She wore torn rags while Juliana dined like a princess. Whenever she tried to sneak near the gate or join the other girls, Clarissa dragged her back by the ear. Festivals? Forget it. She was locked in the storeroom like old Yam. "Let the prince see Juliana, not you, useless orphan," Clarissa hissed. That storeroom became Amara's prison. Rats ran around, the air smelled of kerosene and mildew. But even there, she whispered to herself, "Mama always said stars shine brightest at night. One day someone will see my light." But Clarissa wasn't done yet. Days before the prince's welcome ball, she handed Amara a broken razor. "Shave off that hair. Your beauty is a curse. Cut it or I'll burn it off myself." Amara cried, begged, pleaded. But Clarissa only laughed cruelly. "I never raised you to become queen, and I'll make sure you never will." And that, my friends, was how Amara's fairy tale turned into a nightmare. The closer the royal welcome drew near, the more restless Clarissa Benson became. Rumours buzzed everywhere. The prince will choose his bride on the day of the celebration, and every maiden in the kingdom was busy oiling her skin and practicing her fake giggle. Clarissa's problem? Amara was still beautiful, too beautiful, even in rags, even bald, even locked away from sunlight. The girl's glow refused to dim. Instead of looking like a slave, Amara somehow managed to look like a queen in disguise. Men still stole glances, women still whispered, "That girl shines like morning dew." Clarissa could feel the veins in her forehead throbbing. Something had to be done. Quickly. So like the schemer she was, she came up with a new plan. This time, no chains, no locked storerooms. Oh no, she was moving smart. This time it would be bribery, sweet talk, and calculated manipulation. She wrapped herself in her finest wrapper, balanced a basket of dried fish and yams on her hip, and set out to the homes of every mother with a beautiful daughter. Her voice was all sugar and fake honey. "Ah, my sisters," she cooed, "you know how generous I've always been. Remember last market day I gave you pepper for free? Yes, I did. Now let's talk like family. If my daughter Juliana becomes queen, we all win. There will be contracts, palace jobs, opportunities. Your sons will work in the king's court. Your daughters will marry princes from abroad. Juliana is cultured, polished, and speaks fluent English. She'll make our kingdom proud. Come now, be reasonable. My Juliana is the right choice." Some women nodded politely. Others closed their doors and muttered, "This woman thinks she can buy destiny like Maggie Cube." But one person wasn't having it. Mama Janet. Now, Mama Janet was not your regular village woman. No. She was famous for two things: her razor-sharp tongue and her lion-sized heart. She didn't fear anybody, not even the king. One blazing afternoon, Clarissa strutted to her compound, her fake smile plastered on like makeup. She spotted Amara and Mama Janet sitting under a mango tree, chatting as they peeled oranges. Clarissa adjusted her scarf and sweetened her voice. "My dear sister Janet, I came to." She didn't even finish. Mama Janet dropped the orange, tied her wrapper tight, and stormed forward like a thundercloud. "Clarissa Benson, turn back. Don't you dare step into my yard." Clarissa froze, blinking in shock. "Sister Janet, don't tell me you don't want your daughter to eat from the palace table. I only came to—" "Talk what?" Mama Janet barked. "To bargain with me like I'm selling tomatoes. You want me to kill my daughter's destiny just so your Juliana, that empty calabash with ribbons, can sit on the throne? You're mad!" Gasps flew from the neighbours hiding behind doors. Even the birds went quiet. Clarissa stammered, No, don't say that." But Mama Janet was on fire. "You are wicked, Clarissa, wicked. You caged that innocent Amara like a goat, shaved her head, burned her clothes, locked her in a storeroom, and now you have the audacity to beg us to hide our daughters? Let me tell you something. If there's any girl this prince will see, it's Amara. Not your Juliana, who frowns more than the moon during eclipse." Clarissa's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Mama Janet moved closer, her finger pointing like a sword. "Amara is worth 10 of your Juliana. She's graceful, humble and strong. Everything your spoiled brat is not. But let me shock you, I won't beg on her behalf. I'll let fate decide. Do the same if you have any shame left." Clarissa trembled, clutching her handbag like it was her last breath. She turned slowly, shoulders sagging, and walked away in silence. Murmurs rose across the compound. The people had heard. The mask was falling off and her carefully polished image was starting to crack. A few days later, something unusual happened. A stranger arrived. Not a tall, broad stranger, not a warrior with muscles. No, this one was short, in fact, very short. Barely reached the chest of an average man. His legs were bent, his head oversized, but he walked with quiet confidence, carrying a small leather bag. His clothes were simple but clean. When he reached the marketplace, he went straight to Mama Edwina, the market chairlady. Mama Edwina was round, loud and dramatic. Her laughter could make palm trees shake. The man bowed slightly. "Good day, madam. I've just moved into the village. I need a small shop to rent. I can pay." Mama Edwina squinted at him, then let out a booming laugh. "Ah! So now that our prince is coming, strangers like you want to sneak in and steal attention? Look at you. Like a joke the gods forgot to finish. What will you even sell? Baby sandals." The market erupted with laughter. Men clapped their thighs, women held their stomachs, some pointed at him like he was a circus act. But the little man didn't flinch. He lowered his eyes and said softly, "I only want a place to work." Mama Edwina rolled her eyes. "Fine, take that corner by the goat pen. That abandoned stall nobody wants. That's all you deserve." And so, he set up a tiny foodstuff shop, but instead of customers, he got mockery. The maidens giggled when he passed. Children copied his walk, exaggerating his bent legs. Mothers warned their daughters not to look at him too long. He's a curse walking on 2 feet. One silly girl even swore, "If I ever speak to that man, thunder should strike me. I'd rather marry a blind goat." The little man never answered back. He never shouted. He swept his stall, sold his grains, and kept his peace. But the insults only grew. And strangely, so did his fame. Everyone knew the dwarf shopkeeper, even those who never went near his stall. But there was one exception, Amara. She was different. Every time she came to the market, she stopped at his stall. She bowed respectfully. "Good afternoon, sir." She even bought from him when others avoided him like disease. The man's eyes always softened when she came. "You honor me," he would whisper. One mild morning, Amara sat on the small bench outside his stall, chatting while he measured rice for her. They talked about the weather, food prices, little things. Nothing deep, yet everything meaningful. For him, her kindness was life itself. She was the only person who treated him as a human being. But then, chaos. "Amara," the voice cracked through the market like thunder. Clarissa. She was returning from the tailor's shop when she spotted her stepdaughter chatting with the dwarf. Her eyes bulged, her lips twisted. She stormed forward, pointing. "What nonsense is this?" Amara stood quickly, clutching her grains. "I was only buying rice, mother." "From this creature?" Clarissa shrieked, her voice dripping disgust. "Do you want to drag curses into my house?" Before Amara could explain, slap! The sound echoed through the market. Women gasped. Children froze. "You shameless girl!" Clarissa yelled, her spit flying. "Talking to this thing as if he's a human being. He belongs in the gutter, not behind a shop." The little man stepped forward, voice calm. "Please, madam, she did nothing wrong. Don't hurt her." "Shut your rotten mouth," Clarissa screamed, her eyes blazing. "You short mistake of nature. You disgust me. I blame whoever gave you space in this market. If I were king, you'd be thrown into the river." Amara's face burned with tears. She looked down, humiliated. The man bent silently, sweeping the spilled grains with his broom there. But something changed in that moment. The crowd was watching, and though they pitied Amara, they also noticed something else. Whispers rose. "That girl is different. She greets everyone. She makes even the lowest among us feel seen." And as Amara walked away in shame, the dwarf's eyes followed her. Behind his quiet face, something glistened. Pain, yes, but also purpose. He had taken note, the one soul who treated him like a man in a world that mocked him. The next morning, the wind in the village carried a soft, playful breeze, almost like it was mocking someone. And yes, it was mocking Clarissa. Her footsteps hit the dusty road with the weight of 100 bricks, but not because she felt guilty. No, guilt had long packed its bags and left her soul. What she carried was something heavier, greed mixed with desperation. Clarissa strutted her way to a small grain stall at the edge of the market. The stall was so modest it looked like a sneeze could blow it away. Wooden planks held together by stubborn nails, sacks of millet piled carelessly, and there in the middle was its owner, Oswald, the dwarf everyone in the village mocked. He was humming happily while sweeping, until he looked up and nearly dropped dead. "You?" he whispered, squinting like the sun was playing tricks on him. Clarissa flashed a smile so crooked it could bend iron. "Yes, me. I came back." The broom slipped from his hand. People had laughed at him, spat at him, even pretended he didn't exist, but no one ever had walked back to him with an apology. You're here to insult me again?" Oswald asked carefully. Clarissa tilted her head like a saint from the sky. "Oh no, I came to say sorry for the names I called you, for embarrassing you in public. You know, the usual things I do. I was wrong." The man blinked. "Sorry? From Clarissa?" That word didn't exist in her dictionary. But before he could recover, Clarissa pulled out a small parcel from the folds of her wrapper, dried meat, roasted nuts, neatly wrapped in cloth. She placed it on his table as if she had just offered him treasure. "This is for you, a gift." Oswald stared at it like it was poisoned. "A gift for me?" "Yes," Clarissa nodded sweetly. "And not just a gift. I brought you something better than gold. My daughter." The dwarf nearly swallowed his tongue. "Your daughter?" Clarissa's chest swelled with fake pride. "Amara. She's beautiful, humble, obedient, and guess what? She's already in love with you." Oswald coughed so hard he almost fell off his stool. "Wait! Hold on. I need a wife, yes, but shouldn't I be the one to decide? Since when do wives come as surprise packages?" Clarissa's face fell into a tragic mask, fake tears flowing faster than the river. She even dropped to her knees dramatically. "Please, Oswald," she wailed, "do this for me. Amara won't stop crying over you. She says you're kind, wise, and mysterious. Just say yes. Please." The man scratched his head, his small face filled with doubt. "But isn't Amara your stepdaughter? I thought she wasn't your blood." Clarissa's eyes hardened for a second, then softened into another fake smile. "Blood? Who cares about blood? I raised her. I fed her. I gave her shelter. She owes me her life. Family isn't about blood. It's about who controls you." Oswald wasn't convinced. "If Amara herself agrees, then fine. I'll marry her. But I must hear it from her lips, not yours." Clarissa rose like a fox who thought she had trapped a chicken. "Oh, don't worry. She has no choice. Just prepare for the wedding." With that, she strutted off, hips swinging like she had just sealed a royal deal. But Oswald stayed still, his eyes following her retreat. Something about her words itched in his brain. Back at home, Amara had just finished washing the last pot, her arms dripping with soapy water. She barely had time to breathe before Clarissa's sharp voice slashed through the air like a cutlass. "Amara!" The girl froze. She wiped her wet hands on her wrapper and hurried to the doorway, where Clarissa stood like a general ready to send a soldier to war. "Yes, ma," Amara whispered. "Shut up!" Clarissa snapped before Amara could say more. "I've tolerated your pride long enough, and today it ends." Amara frowned, confused. "Pride? What did I do now?" Clarissa threw an old wrapper and a ragged head tie at her. "Start packing. You're leaving this house today." Amara's jaw dropped. "Leaving? Where am I going?" Clarissa's lips stretched into a cruel smile. "To your husband's house." The words hit Amara like thunder. "My what? Husband? Who? Who else?" Clarissa smirked. "Oswald, the dwarf in the market. You're getting married to him today." Amara staggered back, her face pale. No, please. I only respected him, nothing more. I never—" "Enough," Clarissa barked. "You've always acted like you're better than us. Now let's see how it feels to be tied to the curse of this village. Pack your things. You owe me this marriage." Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks as she fell to her knees. "Mother, please. I've never disobeyed you. Why would you give me away like this?" Slap. Clarissa's palm landed across her face. "You think you have a choice? After all I've done for you? Food, shelter, life. You'll pay me back with this marriage. Now get moving." Just then, Juliana breezed in, wearing royal-coloured fabrics like she had already moved into the palace. She tossed her hair, ignoring Amara completely. Mother, make sure she marries that dwarf today, Juliana said coldly. I don't want Prince Adrian to see a nobody like her under our roof. Her face alone can ruin my chances. Clarissa's eyes softened immediately as she turned to her golden child. Exactly, my jewel. We can't let her shadow darken your glory. Amara gasped, her heart breaking. The prince hasn't even arrived yet. Why are you doing this to me? Juliana hissed. If you had any shame, you'd have stayed invisible. But no, every man looks at you. Every mother wishes you were their daughter. Let's see who'll admire a dwarf's wife now. Amara sobbed harder, her body trembling. She looked at Clarissa one last time, searching for mercy, but all she found was satisfaction. You'll leave this house before sunset, Clarissa declared like a judge giving a death sentence, and may I never see your face again. The two women, mother and daughter, continued their cruel laughter, while Amara's cries filled the room, muffled and helpless. A sudden knock-knock rattled the wooden door. Everyone inside froze. Clarissa quickly adjusted her wrapper, straightened her blouse, and slapped a fake queenly smile on her face, as if she was about to welcome royalty instead of reality. That must be my in-law, she announced cheerfully, as though the heavens had just delivered a miracle to her doorstep. She ignored Amara's wide, terrified eyes. With the confidence of a lioness showing off her prey, Clarissa swung the door open. There stood Oswald, the dwarf, dressed in his best native attire. It wasn't fancy, but at least it was clean and pressed, which was already more effort than Clarissa usually put into telling the truth. Ah, welcome, my son-in-law! Clarissa clapped her hands like a market woman who just sold her last tuber of yam. Come in! Come in! We were just talking about you. Juliana smirked in the corner, while Amara stood frozen like a carved statue, her chest rising and falling too fast. Sweat coated her palms, her legs trembled, her lips quivered. Clarissa leaned close to her stepdaughter and hissed, Smile and behave. One frown, one word, and I swear on your dead mother's grave, I'll finish you. Amara's lips stretched into a weak, fake smile that looked more painful than cheerful. Oswald stepped in and greeted politely. Good afternoon, Madam Clarissa. Good afternoon, Miss Juliana. He finally turned to Amara and gave a soft, respectful bow. Good afternoon, Miss Amara. Amara lowered her head, refusing to let him see her tears. She just nodded. I came to discuss something important, Oswald began, standing tall, or at least as tall as he could, at the centre of the parlour. I may be new here, and I may not have riches, but I believe every woman deserves to be honoured. Clarissa forced a wide smile, but her eyes rolled so hard you'd think they were chasing each other around her head. Go on, my in-law. Oswald cleared his throat. I want to do this properly. In 4 days, I'd like us to hold an engagement ceremony. Amara's mouth parted in a silent gasp. Engagement? Clarissa blinked. Engagement? For what? Oswald smiled warmly. Because she deserves to be celebrated, and I want this whole village to know how lucky I am. Juliana burst out laughing. You're bold for someone so short and poor. He turned to her slowly, his calm gaze silencing her laughter in an instant. Juliana's mouth fell open in disbelief. Did this dwarf just humble me without a word? Clarissa chuckled nervously to cover the awkwardness. Well, if you insist, but please don't waste money on this thing. Buy her the cheapest ring you can find, something that matches her level. Oswald's lips curved in a mysterious smile. I already have a ring, he said, his eyes flicking briefly toward Amara. One that no one in this village has ever seen before. Amara's heart skipped. For the first time, she looked up at him, confused, curious, but quickly dropped her gaze again. Clarissa clapped her hands once sharply. 4 days, then. We'll send word to the village. Oswald nodded. Thank you for accepting me. I believe fate is at work. Then he walked out. By dawn the next day, the whole village was on fire with gossip. The sun had barely woken up, but the news had already sprinted faster than a thief escaping market women. At the stream where maidens fetched water, the chatter was loud enough to drown the sound of buckets splashing. Have you heard? One whispered. Heard what? Another asked eagerly. Amara, the beautiful stepdaughter of Clarissa, is getting engaged. Engaged to who? To the dwarf, the grain seller. The girls burst into shrieks of laughter, dropping buckets and slapping thighs. God forbid bad thing. Me, attend that kind of shameful event? The gods punish me first. One maiden flipped her hair proudly. I already told my tailor to prepare my gown for the prince's wedding. Who has time for a dwarf parade? another chimed in mockingly. Some girls marry kings, others marry short stories. They erupted again in laughter. Meanwhile, in the market square, women preparing for the royal selection ceremony were shaking their heads in disbelief. Ah, Amara, that fine girl, married to that dwarf? Clarissa has finally sold her stepdaughter's destiny, witch of a woman. Some even started singing as they strolled past the stalls. Some marry princes, some marry shame, some wear disgrace, others wear name. Clarissa, of course, acted unbothered. She tied her finest wrapper, swayed her hips, and walked through the streets like a peacock showing off its feathers. But she didn't escape the eyes of Mama Janet, the most respected elder woman in the village, who sat with other matrons outside her compound. "Clarissa!" Mama Janet's voice rang like a bell. Clarissa stopped in her tracks but forced a wide smile. "Mama Janet, good morning, oh." "Don't mama me," Janet snapped. "Shame on you." "Shame." The other women nodded firmly. "You want to destroy that girl's life? Amara respected that man when all of us mocked him and you twist it into punishment? Wickedness runs in your blood, Clarissa." Another elder, Mama Ruth, added, "If her mother was alive, would you dare? The gods are watching." Clarissa raised her chin. "All of you talk too much. Let's see who will laugh after the wedding." She hissed and stormed away, her wrapper sweeping dust behind her. Mama Janet shook her head slowly. "Mark my words," she said in a low voice, "this story is far from finished." The next day. In the afternoon, the village of Elvernia didn't just buzz, it screamed. A whisper had escaped from someone's loose lips, and like wildfire it spread from one hut to another, from market to farm, from waterwell to palm wine joints. Open quote, "The prince is back. Adrian Roberts, our very own golden boy, has returned. He's moving around quietly, looking for his queen. Adrian Roberts, our very own golden boy, has returned. He's moving around quietly, looking for his queen." Close quote. "Ha! Quiet!" Whoever started that rumour clearly didn't know women. The minute the word queen entered the gossip, Elvernia flipped upside down like a basket in the wind. The maidens went mad. Hairdressers became richer in 1 hour than they had been all week. Palm oil was rubbed on legs until they glistened like roasted plantains. Every laugh suddenly had rehearsed pauses. Even walking turned into catwalking. If a girl tripped, she would blame it on royal excitement. But no household lost their minds more than Clarissa's compound. Oh, that woman was on a mission. She had practically declared war. For her darling daughter Juliana, today was the beginning of her coronation. The prince might not even know it yet, but Clarissa had already planned his wedding, his honeymoon, and even the name of his first child. Stylists had been summoned all the way from 2 neighbouring towns. Juliana's hair was not just braided, it was engineered like a royal sculpture. A fashion trainer had been hired to teach her how to walk, turn, blink, and even sneeze in a royal manner. Clarissa supervised like a general in battle. "Chin up, shoulders back, hips out, yes, like that! You are not just a girl, Juliana, you are destiny wrapped in silk." Juliana, standing in front of her full-length mirror, twirled dramatically. Her gown sparkled in the afternoon sun. "Oh, Mama, do I not look like a goddess?" "Goddess?" Clarissa smirked proudly. "Forget goddess, you are the queen. Adrian Roberts won't even blink before falling on one knee." On the road outside their house, other maidens stopped in their tracks, jaws dropping. "Ah, see Juliana! If I were the prince, my eyes would jam lock here. No competition again." But while the perfume, powders and oils choked the air in Clarissa's parlour, life was completely different at the back of the same house. Bent over a wooden basin was Amara. Poor Amara, Clarissa's stepdaughter. Her hands were red from scrubbing, her wrapper soaked, and her eyes were tired from crying. She had only 4 clothes in her possession. 4. As if one wrong scrub would erase them completely. From inside she could hear the loud music, the laughter, the shouts of "Slay Queen," and the claps for Juliana's endless catwalks. Amara stared at the foamy water, her tears dropping inside. "So this is how my life ends. While others are dressing for royalty, I'm here fighting with rags." But life, my dear, has a wicked sense of humour. While Clarissa and Juliana were rehearsing their princess act, someone else quietly arrived at their compound gate. It was Oswald, the dwarf. He had cleaned up nicely today. His shirt was ironed flat, his hair brushed, and he held his cap nervously in his hands. Maidens passing by hissed at him. One even whispered loudly, Who invited roasted yam legs here? But Oswald ignored them. With courage, he knocked politely on Clarissa's gate. Clarissa herself appeared, fanning her face with royal pride until she saw who it was. "Oh ho! You again?" She scoffed so loudly that even Juliana paused her twirl. Oswald bowed slightly. "Good afternoon, Madam Clarissa. Please forgive me for disturbing. I came to take Amara. My mother wants to prepare her for our engagement tomorrow. She will dress her like a bride." Clarissa burst into laughter that could shake the roof. "Engagement? Your bride? Don't make me choke on my pride, Oswald. You are already her husband, no? Take her. Take the whole package, body, soul, and rags." She turned to the back door and shouted, "Amara, your husband has arrived. Come out and carry your poverty with you." Amara stepped out slowly, drying her wet hands. Her eyes were swollen from tears. She bowed her head shyly. Clarissa looked her up and down with disgust. "Don't stand there like a carved tree. Pack your 4 miracle clothes into that sack bag. Add 6 torn ones. You'll need them to farm and scrub pots in your new family hut." Oswald frowned slightly, his voice gentle. "Please, madam, don't worry about that. My mother will take care of her clothes. She already—" But Clarissa cut him off with another sarcastic laugh. "Your mother? That poor old woman has never dressed a bride in her life. Don't let Amara go looking like roasted cassava tomorrow." And then, like a storm, Juliana appeared, her gown glittering so hard it could blind the sun. She flipped her hair and hissed. "What is happening here?" she demanded. Then her eyes landed on Oswald and Amara. Her face twisted. "Oh God, not you two again. Why won't you just vanish? Oswald, can't you take this nuisance away? She's suffocating my queenly air. The prince is already in town and I must shine. Please carry this smell of poverty far, far away." Amara swallowed hard, her eyes burning, but she said nothing. Oswald touched her hand gently. "Let's go, Amara." And together they walked out quietly, step by step, mocked by laughter behind them, but wrapped in dignity. That evening they arrived at Oswald's family home, a modest compound surrounded by mango trees and blooming flowers. The air smelled of boiled yam and pepper soup. Oswald's mother, Mama Dora, stepped out. Though her hair was grey and her face wrinkled, her smile was wide and warm. "Ah, so this is Amara!" she exclaimed, stretching her arms. "Welcome, my daughter." Amara knelt quickly, greeting. "Good evening, Mama. Thank you for accepting me." But Mama Dora pulled her into a hug so tight Amara almost melted in her arms. "No need for thank you. My son has told me plenty about you. From today, this is your home." Home! The word alone nearly broke Amara's heart into tears. Yet, even as a guest, Amara rushed into the kitchen. She stirred the soup, checked the firewood, swept the compound, ironed Mama Dora's head tie for the ceremony, and even polished Oswald's sandals. "Mama, let me help, please," she said softly when Mama Dora tried to stop her. "My hands are not heavy. Work is my only companion." Mama Dora stood at the doorway, watching her with watery eyes. Inside, Oswald laughed for the first time in weeks. "She is the only one who makes me smile. Everyone mocks me, but she treats me like a man." Mama Dora nodded slowly, her eyes shining with pride. "Then, my son, maybe she is not just your bride. Maybe she is your destiny." That night Oswald and his mother watched her like she was a rare diamond the world had thrown away, but heaven had returned to them. Just when the laughter had settled, the door creaked open. In walked a tall, broad-shouldered man wearing a faded, sweat-soaked security uniform. His belt was hanging like it had given up on life, and his boots looked like they had fought 100 battles with dust. "Mama Dora," he panted, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I beg if there's any Gary in this house, just a little. I've got groundnut already. I'm starving." Mama Dora glanced at the kitchen, then at Amara. "Please, my son, let Amara fix you a little Gary. She must be tired too, but she'll serve you." Amara, who had overheard from inside, stepped forward softly. She leaned to Mama Dora's ear and whispered, "Mama, there's soup in the pot. Shouldn't I give him that instead of plain Gary?" Mama Dora gently tapped her hand. "No, my daughter. Keep the proper food for tomorrow's guests. Do as I said." Amara bowed respectfully and disappeared into the kitchen. Moments later, she returned, not just with Gary, but also a small plate of food. She set it down with a quiet smile. "This is my own dinner. Take it. I'm not hungry tonight." The man blinked in shock, then in gratitude. "Ah, sister, thank you. Oh, may heaven bless you. I swear I'll be at your wedding tomorrow." He He bowed, clutching the plate like it was treasure, and left with a wide grin. Mama Dora stared at Amara, her heart swelling. "You gave him your food, my daughter." Amara just brushed her wrapper with a shy smile. "He looked hungrier than me. There'll be food tomorrow." Oswald leaned close to his mother and whispered, "She's more than I hoped for. They mocked me in that village, Mama, but this one treats me like a human being." Mama Dora patted his hand, eyes twinkling. "Then hold her tight, my son. A woman like this is rarer than gold." That night, Amara lay in a small guest room with a real pillow under her head. Not a mat, not a sack of rags, a pillow. She didn't dream of wealth, palaces, or gowns. She dreamed of peace. The next morning, the calm village of Elvernia nearly broke its own backbone when a fleet of sleek black cars rolled down the dusty road toward Clarissa's compound. People screamed. Pots dropped. Market women abandoned their stalls and ran barefoot just to catch a glimpse. "Wait, is that not Juliana's house? Ah, trouble has landed, oh. Maybe she insulted someone in authority. No, 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 look at those cars. Maybe the prince himself has chosen her." Clarissa, who had been inspecting Juliana's dress for the 45th time that morning, almost swallowed her joystick in shock. She rushed outside, fanning herself nervously. "Who are these people? Ah! I hope we are not in trouble, oh." Juliana grabbed her mother's arm, trembling. "Mama, I swear on my powder box, I didn't do anything. I didn't insult anybody. I only snapped my fingers at that hawker yesterday, that's all." The crowd thickened, faces pressed to gates. Some villagers even climbed trees for a better view. When the first car stopped in front of the compound, the door swung open and out stepped Oswald. But not the Oswald they mocked yesterday. No, this was a brand new Oswald, dressed in a sleek designer suit that probably cost more than Clarissa's entire kitchen. His shoes gleamed so brightly the sun itself leaned back. He wore dark shades and carried himself like the king of style. "Jesu!" someone gasped. "Is this not the same dwarf we called cursed last week? Ah! We are finished. Poverty made us blind." Oswald, cool as ever, walked to the next car, opened the door like a gentleman chauffeur, and out stepped Amara. The village froze. If mouths could hit the ground, half of them would have. Amara looked nothing like the girl who once washed rags in Clarissa's backyard. She was now clothed in a dazzling gown, royal beads draped across her neck and wrists. Her bald head shone like polished ebony, crowned by grace itself. She wasn't walking, she was floating. "Wait, oh, is that Amara?" "No, it can't be. Poverty does not transform this way. I mocked her last week. God forgive me." Even her worst mockers could not deny it. Amara looked like a goddess reborn. Juliana nearly bit her tongue. "Tufi Aqua. Even if that dwarf is richer than King Robert himself, I would never marry him. Except maybe for the money." Clarissa slapped her daughter's shoulder. "Foolish girl, what is love without money? If I had known Oswald was this rich, I would have married him myself." The whispers multiplied, shame and jealousy rolling through the crowd like smoke. Amara didn't gloat. She didn't even frown. She simply smiled faintly, her calmness louder than any revenge. But the show wasn't over. Just when the villagers thought they had seen it all, 6 giant camels strutted into the square, each draped in golden cloth with bells jingling. The ground trembled as they marched. "Camels in Elvernia? This is not a wedding, it's a royal takeover." And then a tall herald dressed in scarlet beads and carrying a staff raised his voice, his words booming like thunder. "Behold, Adrian Roberts, Crown Prince of Elvernia." Chaos, screams, gasps, silence, confusion. From the last camel, a tall man descended. His robe was white, trimmed with gold, his presence electric. When he removed his veil, his face shone with regality. Adrian Roberts, the prince himself. The villagers hit the ground in a bow, everyone except Amara, who just stepped back in disbelief. Her eyes met his, and he smiled. Juliana's knees almost buckled. "Mama, it's him! My prince! This is my moment!" She grabbed Clarissa's arm, and together they sashayed forward, hips swinging like pendulums. The crowd held its breath. Surely this was it. Surely Juliana was about to be crowned queen. But just before they reached him, Adrian turned away, completely ignoring them, and walked straight to Oswald. With respect, he bowed. "Thank you, Uncle. You got me the best treasure of all." The entire square froze. "Uncle?" Amara gasped, covering her mouth. Clarissa staggered. Juliana looked like she had swallowed pepper. The prince turned to Amara, his voice soft but commanding. "Amara, I was in your house last night. I was the tired security guard who begged for Gary. I watched you choose kindness over comfort, giving me your dinner while you went hungry. That was enough. That alone showed me the queen I have been searching for." The crowd erupted, screams, disbelief, tears. Clarissa fainted flat on the ground. Juliana wailed like a goat at slaughter. But Adrian was already down on one knee, a ring glittering like the sun in his hand. "Amara," he said, his eyes locked on hers, "please marry me. Be my wife, be my queen. Stand beside me, not behind me, not beneath me, beside me. Together we will rule, serve, and uplift this kingdom." The air shattered. People screamed like a stadium crowd that had just seen their underdog score the winning goal. Mothers clutched their babies tighter. Young girls held their chests in jealousy, some already fainting dramatically even though nobody touched them. Amara froze. Her lips quivered, her hands trembled like a child in harmattan. Her knees nearly gave way, and she covered her mouth as tears streamed uncontrollably down her cheeks. For years they mocked her. For years they called her nothing but Clarissa's housemaid, and now here she was, the one being called queen. Through her sobs, she managed to whisper, barely audible, "Yes, yes, yes, I will marry you." The crowd erupted. It was like a pot of beans had exploded in every direction. Shouts, cheers, screams, ululations, all at once. Some women burst into dance immediately, swinging wrappers and rolling on the dusty ground. Others wailed like they had just missed their destiny, because truly they had. A group of maidens clutched their gel and beads, some even snatching them off in shame, crying, "Why didn't I greet her well when I had the chance?" Clarissa staggered backward, clutching her chest as though struck by lightning. Her daughter Juliana simply collapsed onto her knees, lips trembling, staring like she had seen a ghost. And then came Mama Janet. Mama Janet didn't waste time. The old woman leapt up, lifted her faded wrapper in both hands and began to dance in circles, her voice cutting through the noise like a trumpet. "Didn't I say it? Didn't I tell you all? Who God lifts, no man can bury. You mocked her, you spat at her, but look at my daughter now." She twirled and swayed, tears streaming down her wrinkled face, shouting praises until even the drummers couldn't keep up with her joy. Meanwhile, attendants rushed forward, bringing out a golden canopy embroidered with royal crests. Two guards carefully lifted Amara onto a majestic camel draped in white silk and golden tassels. She sat there, glowing like a jewel, her bald head shining like polished marble under the sun. Prince Adrian mounted his own camel beside hers, smiling at her with pride, while the royal announcer lifted his staff and cried out in a booming voice, "Behold the future king and queen of Elvernia! Long live Prince Adrian! Long live Queen Amara!" The royal horns blasted. The camels began to move, trotting regally toward the palace, while the crowd split like the Red Sea, bowing and weeping as they passed. But regret had no shame that day. Juliana, once the proud peacock of the village, fell face down in the dust, wailing like someone had stolen her destiny. She stretched her arms toward the departing camels, screaming, "No! That should be me! That was supposed to be me!" Her mother Clarissa grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. "Get up, fool! If I had known he was the prince, I would have polished your manners with sandpaper myself." But it was too late. Way, way too late. The same mouths that mocked Amara were now confessing in whispers. See her now, radiant like the morning sun. I once called her cursed. May God forgive me. If I had been just a little kinder, maybe, just maybe, it would have been me. Mothers wept quietly into their daughters' shoulders, whispering warnings. "Learn from this, my child. Don't be like Clarissa and Juliana. Pride is a killer. Kindness is the only crown that never fades." Bernice, one of Clarissa's loudest gossip partners, just sat on the ground staring blankly at the horizon, muttering nonsense. Her voice was gone, her pride turned to dust. And then, in the midst of the weeping, Juliana spoke softly, almost to herself. "Amara once told me something. She said her late mother taught her, 'Light shines brightest in the dark.' I mocked her for saying that. I laughed in her face. But now," her voice cracked, tears pouring down, "now I see she was right. Despite all we did to break her, she still shined brighter than us all." Her sobs drowned her words, but the truth cut deep into every ear. From the distance, the sound of drums, royal horns, and celebratory chants echoed as Amara and Adrian rode away, surrounded by guards, dancers, and golden camels. The villagers were left behind, some clapping in joy, some breaking down in regret, some already whispering stories they would tell their grandchildren. And in the dust of the square, Juliana whispered one last bitter line, her voice shaking, her pride shattered. If I had just one more chance, I'd be kind too. But it's too late now. Hello, my beloved viewers. What a journey this has been. From rejection to royalty, Amara's story reminds us that kindness will always win, no matter how long it takes. If you enjoyed this story, don't just keep it to yourself. Like the video, share it with your friends and family. And most importantly, drop a comment below in your own language. Tell me what lesson you're taking away from Amara's transformation. Your support means everything, besties. Stay tuned for more breathtaking stories. Until next time, remember, light shines brightest in the dark. Bye for now.